Hello and welcome to the In Focus series section of Drishti IAS. I am Aisha Singh, and in today's video we will be talking about the 50 Archaeological Survey of India Protected Monuments Untraceable or Missing. It means the 50 monuments which are under the Archaeological Survey of India and are supposed to be protected monuments, but they are missing. It means they cannot be found or they are untraceable, they cannot be traced. So first let us look at the timeline of the video. First we will be looking at the news, then what are centrally protected monuments, then how monuments went missing, what are the reason and what are the monuments which are missing. Then in the end a prelims MCQ or a means practice question. This topic is of relevance from General Studies paper 1, that is culture. See, from exam perspective you should be able to know first is what are centrally protected monuments, then about the Archaeological Survey of India and how the monuments went missing and why the monuments need to be traced or they need to come back into the picture. So let's first look at the news, and the news has been taken from the Indian Express, and it says that 50 ASI protected monuments untraceable, how did they go missing and what happens next. So it means the ASI is Archaeological Survey of India. So the main purpose for which the ASI was formed was to look into the conservation and the preservation of Indian monuments, history, culture, so that the monuments which signifies our history and culture, they needs to be protected and passed on for the future generation. So that was the work for the Archaeological Survey of India, and that is why it was formed. So it is said that all the monuments which comes under the Archaeological Survey of India, they needs to be protected. They needs to be protected means that the government or the Ministry of Culture will look into their protection and will take steps to protect and conserve them. So it means that 50 monuments which are ASI protected monuments. Protected monuments means the monuments which was given protection from the side of the government, that it comes under the category of protected monument, that protection is given to that monuments. So 50 protected monuments are untraceable. Untraceable means we don't even know where these 50 monuments are at present and they are missing. So how did they go missing? What are the reasons that we are not able to trace them? So let's see. The Ministry of Culture has published a report in the Parliament, and the report is Issues Relating to Untraceable Monuments and Protection of Monuments in India. So this is the name of the report which the Ministry of Culture has presented in the Parliament, and the Ministry of Culture has said that 50 of India's 3693 centrally protected monuments have gone missing. Centrally protected monuments means that the central government needs to protect it and will be like contributing from their own end for its protection. So there are in total 3693 centrally protected monuments, and out of this 6393, 50 centrally protected monuments are untraceable or are missing. So what are centrally protected monuments? So there is an act which the name of the act is Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Sites and Remains Act. So that is AMASR Act. So this act is what looks after everything, whether it's about the preservation of the monuments or conservation of the monuments, or what are the steps that needs to be taken for their conservation. So this Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Sites and Remains Act is what is responsible for it. So this regulates the preservation of monuments and archaeological sites of national importance. So we know we have so many monuments or so many sites which are of national importance, and the government or the Ministry of Culture directly looks after their preservation. So the act which is responsible for it is AMASR Act. So the name of the act becomes important, and what is its aim is also important. Then it also protects monuments and sites that are more than 100 years old, and these sites include temples, cemeteries, inscriptions, tombs, forts, palaces and many more. So all the monuments which are 100 years old or are 100 years, more than 100 years old, so the AMASR Act looks into their preservation and conservation. And the Archaeological Survey of India, that is ASI, also functions under this act. So this is an important point, that ASI functions under which act? So ASI functions under the AMASR Act, and ASI, that is Archaeological Survey of India, was formed in the year 1861, and who was responsible for its formation? And that is Alexander Cunningham. So Archaeological Survey of India was formed in which year? It was formed in 1861, and who was responsible for its formation? Then that is Alexander Cunningham. And the ministry under which the Archaeological Survey of India works is Ministry of Culture. So very important point. ASI was formed in which year? 1861. Who was responsible for the formation of ASI was Alexander Cunningham, and the ministry it works under is the Ministry of Culture, and the act it functions under is the AMASR Act. And which is the act responsible for the preservation and the conservation of the monuments in India which are of national importance? That is also the AMASR Act. Now let's talk about the provisions of the AMASR Act. And the AMASR Act is the Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Sites and Remains Act. So what are its provisions? Its provision says that the ASI officials are supposed to regularly inspect the monuments to assess their condition. So the officials, all the officials of the Archaeological Survey of India on daily basis or regularly have to see the monuments, whether the monuments are in proper condition or not, and whether the monuments needs any redevelopment or any kind of protection. So they have to look into this and inspect all the things. Then conservation and preservation operations for the monuments are also under the provisions of this act. Then ASI officials can also file police complaint if they find anything fishy or they are suspicious of something, that something is not going right. So they even have the authority and the power to file a police complaint. Then they can also issue show cause notices for the removal of encroachments. So the ASI officials, they have the guidelines or the do's and the don'ts on which they work. So if they find the encroachment is not proper, then they can also issue a show cause notice on its own. Then they can also communicate to the local administration the need for demolition of encroachment. So in this aspect of encroachment, the ASI officials have special powers that they can even communicate to the local administration, or they can also give guidelines to the local administration that the encroachment is illegal or the encroachment is dangerous. Then that encroachment can be demolished or stopped. Then comes that how the monuments went missing. So what are the reasons for the monuments being untraceable or missing or not being able to found? Then the ASI remained largely dysfunctional in the 19th century owing to fund crunch. So what happened? The ASI, that is the Archaeological Survey of India, was formed in the year 1861. So what happened during the time when it was formed? It could not function properly because at that point of time there was not many things available for them. And also when an organization is formed, then there was in the starting there was financial crunch or the fund crunch or capital crunch also at that point of time. So it could not function properly or it was largely dysfunctional. Then what happened was, at the decades preceding independence, it became very active. So during the time of independence, that is 1947, the Archaeological Survey of India became very active. But bulk of the protected monuments were taken under the ASI's wings during the 1920s, 30s and till 50s. So you can see that the time when the Archaeological Survey of India was the most active and was functioning very properly was the time before the independence, that is during the time of 1920s, 1930s, 1940s and 1950s. And what happened was, the decades after India got independence, so all the governments which were in power, the officials of the Archaeological Survey of India says that the focus was more to uncover more monuments and sites. It means they were very much interested into discovering and finding more and more number of sites instead of conservation of the already present monuments. So this not focusing much on the conservation of the already present monuments, this led to not being able to trace the monuments, and the monuments went missing. And many monuments and sites were lost to activities like urbanization, because during the time of urbanization and presently our population is increasing so much, so we need more and more land or more and more infrastructure, and this infrastructure and land comes at the cost of many things. So one of the things being the untraceable or the missing monuments. Then comes construction of dams and reservoirs. So construction of dams and reservoir needs a lot of space and area, and whatever things that comes within those area has also needs to be given up. Then encroachment. So many a times when encroachment takes place, then also we have seen it in the past also, that many a times when encroachment takes place, then the monument or the places that are present on the land, they also goes away with it. So these are few of the examples that how or what are the reasons that the monuments went missing or untraceable. Now let's talk about the Archaeological Survey of India submitting its report in the Parliament and saying that out of the 50 monuments that are untraceable or missing, 14 monuments have been lost to rapid urbanization. So it means due to the rapid urbanization, 14 monuments have been lost. Then 12 are submerged by reservoirs or dams, and 24 are still untraceable. And this makes the total number of missing monuments 50. So you have to see that the untraceable monuments are 24, which the Archaeological Survey of India is saying that they are untraceable. But 12 are submerged by reservoir or dams, and 14 have been lost to rapid urbanization, and 24 are untraceable. It means if efforts would be made to trace these 24 monuments which are untraceable, then these can be found also, and these can be traced back also. Then security guards were posted at only 248 of the 3693 monuments. So the centrally protected monuments are in number 3693, but out of these 3693 monuments, the security personnel or the security guards are present only at 248 sites. So what happens when security guards or security personnel are not present at the site of the monument? Then this leads to many harmful activities going on in those monuments, because there is no one to keep a vigil or there is no one to look after the monuments. So whatever the people that are coming there can do. Then the total requirement of the security personnel is around 7,000 guards for the protection of the monuments. But out of these 7,000 guards which are required, the government has provided only 2,578 security personnel at only 248 locations. So out of 3,693 locations, the security guards or security personnel is present only at 248 places, and the total requirement of the security personnel is around 7,000 people, but the government has provided only 2,578 security personnel. So by this data, what you can do is you can actually think about that how the protection is given to these monuments, and not every monument is also given the protection which the monument requires. Now let's talk about the missing monuments. Then out of 50 missing monuments, 11 are in the state of Uttar Pradesh, this is highest. Then 2 each in Delhi and Haryana, and other belong to the states of Assam, West Bengal, Arunachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. And the monuments which are missing are Barakhamba Cemetery in Delhi, then comes Gunds of Emperor Sher Shah, Tinsukia, Assam, the ruins of Copper Temple, Paya, Lohit, and all these things that you can read here. So these are the monuments which are missing. Now it's time for the prelims MCQ, and you people need to tell me the answer in the comment section. And the question says that the Archaeological Survey of India Regarding the Archaeological Survey of India, consider the following statements. The first statement says that the Archaeological Survey of India comes under Ministry of Culture. Archaeological Survey of India was founded by Alexander Cunningham, and the Archaeological Survey of India functions under the AMASR Act. And you have to tell me which are the incorrect statements. Incorrect statements are what you have to say, and the codes given are 1, 2 and 3, 2 only, 2 and 3 only, or none. We have discussed all three. Now last aspect is the mains practice question, and this is a 10 marker question. Try to do your answer writing practice, and the question says how are centrally protected monuments going missing? So this is the first part. As I always say, you have to see whether the question, how many parts the question consists of. So this question consists of two parts, and the first part is how are centrally protected monuments going missing? So you have to say how, what are the reasons for it. Then the second part is suggest measures that can be taken by the government to restore missing monuments. So what are the measures that the government can take to restore those monuments? So first you have to talk about that what are the reasons it is going missing. Then you have to talk about what are the ways that they can be restored, or their untraceability can be stopped. So try to do your answer writing practice, and that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Till we meet next time, keep reading and keep writing.